Hello, this is Ryan with Deepwood Handcraft, coming to you today from my backyard in beautiful Wasilla, Alaska. It's not my ideal location, but we're working on that right now, so maybe one day. Anyway, just an extremely quick video, or as quick as I can get it done at least, because I need to get this stuff to the post office quick and in a hurry, but I didn't want to let it go this time without getting a video of it, just to kind of show some things. You've seen all of this stuff before, but it's kind of done just slightly differently, and want to explain a couple of things about it maybe, since getting all this stuff up on our website. First, this is the Lakelander pouch from the website. And this one, as per the customer's request. And if you see how I just did that, this loop and toggle thing is not difficult to figure out. This little tensioner at the bottom, something I'm going to start doing now. Just kind of add that little bit of extra security. It's not going to come open on you. But while this thing's on your belt and you want to get it off, you just grab that loop and up and over, and that's as easy as it is. So on the inside of this one, per the customer's request, there is no wet formed Hudson Bay tobacco pocket, but there is a divider in there. You can see the evidence of that on the outside here. Veg tan trimmer on the top there, veg tan on the front panel, veg tan back panel, and belt loop. And this belt loop doesn't put your belt on the inside of your pouch. This piece of material goes all the way through there. And that squirrel over there is angry at me right now, but he'll have to get over it. So your belt's not going to be hanging out on the inside of your pouch. And this veg tan gives a nice strong belt loop, so that's not going to wear out on you. Extra bit of stitching around just to kind of keep it in there nice and tight, everything where it's supposed to be. Side pocket on this. If you have a specific piece of equipment or tool that you want to go in there, so long as it's not bigger than the gusset, and if it is, then we can work that out if you need to. There's a 3-inch gusset on this one, 6 inches wide, 7 inches tall. This pocket is sized for a Leatherman Super Tool, which happens to be roughly the same dimensions as a Leatherman Wave, but a little bit taller. It's made so that if you don't want to carry your tool in there, but you do want to carry stuff in there, this lid closes all the way down, or put your super tool in there and still be able to get it out of there nice and easy. So anyway, that is this pouch. I'll take some photos of that in just a minute. Here's the Woodsman's belt as per the website. Got my new logo stamps going now. I don't put those stamps in a super conspicuous spot. Obviously you got the belt on, this is going to cover that logo. Same on the pouch. It's on the back instead of the front. If you want the logo on the front, that's not a problem, but I don't assume that people automatically just want to advertise for me, and I don't want to detract from their equipment by putting a stamp on a super visible place. So it's just kind of more tactful in my opinion sometimes to put it in a spot where it's not necessarily going to be in everyone's face, but if you want it that way, that's fine. I'm not having problems with that. So this is saddle skirting veg tan. This stuff is just 1/32 shy of 1/4 of an inch thick. As you can see, as thick as this is, this belt is not super stiff. I've worked a bunch of Obernoff heavy duty leather protector, which is beeswax based. That's what I use on everything, into this, and then Worked it out pretty well, not so much that it's just completely limp and loosey-goosey, but enough that it's not going to be super stiff and uncomfortable while you're carrying your gear. It's 1 3/4 inch thick, tapers down to 1 1/2 inches for the buckle, and that's just to give just a little bit extra material when you're carrying heavy gear and stuff. All of my belt loops are sized to fit that, and it should fit in your belt loop no problem on any kind of pants you're wearing. That's with my belt already in there, so that's not a problem either. When I make these things, I do require that you give me your pant size so that I can get a good idea of how big I need to make the belt. But this isn't like a store-bought belt that's only got 5 or 6 holes, and once you run out of adjustment, you're just out of it. I provide enough slack on this thing so that if you need to wear this over heavy winter gear or a little bit of extra clothing on the outside of your what you're wearing instead of just in your pants loop or whatever. These belts are kind of designed to be your second belt with your gear on it, so that you can take all your gear off at camp and not have your pants falling down on you, or you know, that kind of thing. If you want to wear it in your pants, whatever, and do what you want with it, but it's kind of the thought behind it, and the design is this is an over belt for your equipment to go on over your clothing for easy access. So 2 slack keepers on that, just in case this one is not attached, so it slides. If you're wearing it on just your waist, then that extra slack will be taken up and won't be a problem flapping around on you. So that's bison brown. It's been obernoved, which kind of darkens it up a little, but not too much. To look at it with the naked eye, you can indeed tell it's a nice, deep, rich brown. That's actually my favorite color for the leather stuff. But anyway, heavy duty Woodsman's belt. And then here is another look at the Buckeye. And the one in my first video on it that I did for trade was actually the second shoulder bag I had ever made. And so I've made quite a few more since then, and this is the first Buckeye I have made since that first initial one. And I have done a few things just a tad bit differently, and that is due to learning and experience for what works and what doesn't work so well. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with that Buckeye that Dave Canterbury has, but I would say that knowing now what I know as opposed to what I knew then, I did do a couple of things differently, and it just kind of helps the process along a little better and functions a little better. And that's just what happens when you're making stuff. And these mosquitoes are freaking treacherous out here, man. So anyway, one of the things that's different about it is this pocket's a bit bigger, and that's just going to be a standard thing. It's a bit easier to access. Carry a lot more stuff in there. You carry outdoors tent, quite a few extra things, emergency space blanket, you know, fire starting gear, that kind of thing in there. And that is a decent size to be able to carry that without making it too big and bulky. The axe loop. Now I've got 3 different axes right now. I've got this Grantsfors Scandinavian Forest axe, which is the biggest, I guess you could call bushcraft style axe that I would carry in the woods. Anything bigger than that's just too much in my opinion to be hauling around. So the Scandinavian Forest axe is going to fit in here nicely. It's not going to just slide right in and slide right out. It's something that you're going to have to put in there and take out of there, so that it's not just going to fall out on you in the middle of walking through the woods, or you're leaning over to get something. It's going to hold it in there. And then of course the hunter's axe, there's still a little bit of tension getting it in and out, and neither one of those is enough that it's going to be damaging anything for you to take it in and out of there. And you can see this stuff is stitched on here. That's not coming off of there. So it's a nice snug fit for your handle getting it in and out. And it'll carry some of the smaller axes with no problem. So that's that. On this one, it's been modified from the original design. And as I am a custom maker, you can kind of have what you want on it. He wanted extra D-rings on the bottom so that he could hook this up to his backpack if he wanted to, as well as the ones on the top. That's not a standard thing. The slack keepers are standard. The extra D-rings are extra. Slack keepers on the bottom of this are wet formed, because obviously this is 1 inch and this is 1.5 inches, just to kind of keep it from moving around too much on you. And these also are not attached, so they can slide depending on what you've got under there, tarp or blanket or whatever. The handle on the top is not so dramatically sized as it was on the first one, just to kind of give it a little bit better of a low profile but still give you a good handle. This is also made out of that saddle skirting, so it's nice and thick. It's not gonna rip off on you at any time. Plenty of stitching there. That's all double stitched, and when I say double stitched, I mean this has gone over twice with the stitching, so that there's 2 layers of stitching in each one of these lines. And that's the same with all the slack keepers on the back and everything. Now on this one, you'll notice it has a stitch line in the back there. And this is also a modification that does not come on the standard Buckeye and will be extra. Dead mosquito guts on it. That's for you, Shane. Some Alaska mosquito guts for you. And of course this is packed with towels and stuff just to give it the shape for the simulate having the gear in it. Now on the inside here, there's a bit of extra internal organization, and hopefully you can see that well. There's a pocket here sized for a Altoids tin. Then there's a pocket here big enough to put some field guides in, or your favorite bushcraft book if you want, for easy access. And then there's a flat pocket on the back there that even though it's a flat pocket, it's got a lot of room in there depending on what you've got in the rest of the bag, so you can keep quite a bit of stuff in there for just quick grab and go kind of stuff. This doesn't go all the way to the bottom, so that you can still keep some gear kind of underneath all of this down here. I'd say there's probably a good 4 inches underneath that pocket, so you can still have plenty of gear underneath your heavier stuff and your bigger, bulkier stuff in the bottom of the bag, and then, you know, kind of like your essentials in the flat pockets, and 2 pockets on the front of that flat pocket, and then your lighter stuff, you know, like hats or scarves, or, you know, stuff you might want to get at, your fire kit or food or whatever can be up at the top there. So that's the Buckeye. Another difference is, instead of this being folded over and sewn to itself along the lips here, this is a veg tan that's been folded over and sewn on as the trim. And I like doing that better because it's protects the edge a lot better, in my opinion. And that way, if something does happen and this gets mangled up for some reason, it can just be taken off and re-put on there. If it was just folded over and sewed to itself and something happened to it, I'm not saying it can't be fixed, but it can't be fixed to look great, in my opinion, if that should happen. But that's not the case on these now, because that can be removed and put back on there with very little amount of trouble. Even if you have to send it back to me and I'll put it on there, whatever. If something does happen to it, just send it back. I'll do what needs to be done and send it right back to you. No cost to you. Unless you obviously just did something stupid like took an axe to it or something. And Shane, I don't mean that to you, I just mean anybody in general. This stuff will last a very long time, multiple lifetimes, if you take care of it and if you maintain it properly. But if you just go out and abuse it and don't care about it and do all that stuff, then that's a lot of money to spend for not taking care of something, in my opinion. But everybody's got their own way of doing things. So that's the Buckeye. This one's got modifications, but other than the D-rings and the internal pockets, the rest of this is standard on the Buckeyes now. The bigger pocket, the axe loop, slack keepers, all that stuff. Now I have put my logo also on this strap, and this strapping is also that same saddle skirting. It's near just about, might as well be 1/4 of an inch thick. Logo under there again, so it's not readily in your face. I like it. Not all of the shoulder bags come with this saddle skirt strapping because it's kind of it's a bit of overkill in my opinion on most things, but this bag is a bit bigger than some of the other bags that I make, so I figure I'll go with a thicker strap. It'll last longer, not to say the other one won't last, because it is veg tan and it's not too much thinner than that. But anyway, that is that. And now I must go run to the post office and get this stuff shipped off, because it's already late, along with just about everything else that I got going right now. Because it turns out when you have a baby, nobody sleeps, and also when you have 2 little girls ages 2 and 3 and their potty training, that tends to take up a lot of time and allows you to get very little done. But we're starting more and more each day to get the routine streamlined. So that's it for me. Next video I'm going to do as soon as I get home from doing a bunch of running that's needed to be done for about a week now is I've been tagged by the mad Aussie haggis head himself, Alan Ainsworth, over at Howling Dingo, for your favorite bushcraft books. And so I have gotten all of my books together from the far 4 corners of my house, and that video will be up this evening, hopefully. Take a small break from doing some of this stuff. My hands are just a little bit sore and beat up, and you know, they got holes in them, and that's what happens when you're sewing this stuff. So that is it for me. I feel like I'm forgetting something that should pertain to this video, but it's just gonna have to do because I gotta go. So have a good one. And cut scene, it was the shoulder pad. I forgot to talk about the shoulder pad, but it's pretty much the same as what you've seen in Dave's artifact quality leatherwork video. The only difference is what's inside it. In Dave's, it's a piece of military wool blanket that I folded into 3 and then sewed into the thing. And now what's going in there and what will continue to go in there is sheep's skin with the fleece still on it. I just trimmed that fleece down to about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's nice and padded, nice and comfy. So no real difference there, just what's going on inside that thing. It's a little more leather related anyway, I guess. So that's it for me for now.